So I've been teaching private music lessons in some capacity for almost 7 years now. And there's a few things that I keep finding myself saying over and over to students. Advice that works if you're trying to learn a musical instrument or just be a better person. This is stuff that just works as general life advice, and even things that I find myself kind of coming back to, sort of playing teacher to myself in my own life. So if you're interested in learning a musical instrument or just being a better human being, stick around because I've got 3 different things coming up that may or may not help. Welcome to Ben and the Family Quest. My neighbor decided it would be a good time to chainsaw the entire forest down, so I'm sorry if that sounds in the background. We'll get through this together. Hey, what's going on? If we're not already friends, hi, my name is Ben Crosswaits, and this is a new project called Ben and the Family Quest. This is my sort of now or never moment. It's a 1,000-day commitment I made to spend the 1,000 days leading up to my 30th birthday just as all in as I can be on all these things that I've wanted to do for a long time. So I'm releasing music on a regular basis. I'm making YouTube videos. Right now I'm making 2 a week. Putting myself out there, going for it. If you're curious about where exactly I am right now, I am on the sort of outer edge of my backyard shed. Very soon, this is going to be where I teach music lessons, make music, make YouTube videos, hang out. Just sort of the headquarters for everything I'm doing. If you get something out of this video, if you enjoy this, make sure you are subscribed on YouTube and following me on all the social media places so that you can be a part of this thing going forward, because I think at the time of this video coming out, we're about 40 days or so into a 1,000-day commitment, so we are just getting started. If you come to me with a guitar that you just bought and you've never played before, we would definitely be entering into a student-teacher, nope, other way around, teacher-student relationship. But just know that with this life advice stuff, I'm right there with you. I'm definitely a student as well. So the first piece of advice goes something like this. You are doing it right. You're not hopeless. It just takes time. So let me break that down. A lot of students come to me, after I've left them with something to work on the previous lesson, and they'll say, I thought you said to do this, but I went home and it's just not sounding like I thought it should. But a lot of what I do is saying, actually, no, you listened well, your technique is spot on, you're actually not doing anything wrong, but it's gonna take time. You have to put in the repetition. And what's funny is tends to be really unsatisfactory advice, especially, to be honest, adult students. Adult students in general tend to be way worse at this because they're kind of looking for a silver bullet, and it just takes time. And I get that because there's plenty of things that I would love to be great at right away that it just takes time. YouTube, for example. Like, I'll probably start editing this video and realize I had a massive booger, or like I was out of focus the whole time. Just to be honest. And this is advice that I keep coming back to for myself with starting on YouTube and just communication skills, getting better at social media, all these things. I've put the 10,000 hours in on the music side of things, but I'm a long ways from that with some of these other things I've started doing now. And this advice is helping. I know that what I'm doing with this video right now, what I'm doing talking to my camera in my backyard, wondering if the neighbors can hear me, is I'm putting the reps in. I'm getting better. Hopefully. So yes, learn the proper technique. If you don't have a mentor, teacher in your real life, for me in some areas of my life, like my teachers are podcasts and books and YouTube videos and learning from afar. However you can take that in, learn your techniques, learn your craft, learn, some of the best practices, and then just start putting in the reps. And you're not going to be great at first, but it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It might just mean you've got to put in the work. The second piece of advice I keep finding myself coming back to is that mastery leads to freedom. You can't get to freedom unless you go through mastery. Here's what I mean by that. when you watch a musician who is just playing, seemingly from their soul, and it's like them and their instrument are one thing, channeling some other higher power through their music. You know what I mean? Watch Thelonious Monk play the piano or John Mayer play a guitar solo, to name a couple of my favorites. They're not consciously thinking about scales and any fancy music theory idea. They're likely not hardly thinking at all. But they only got to this free place by going through countless hours and countless repetitions. When I was in high school, I read a really incredible book by Stephen Pressfield called The War of Art. You'll hear a lot of creative people talk about it. It's a really good, top of the toilet book if you happen to find yourself in the bathroom with some time to read. It's a good book for that sort of thing because it's really short chapters. But anyways, one of the quotes and ideas that has stuck with me from that book, I have the quote here. He's kind of references Socrates, but I've never been able to find the exact quote from Socrates that he's referencing, so I'll just read this from the book. He says, "The paradox seems to be, as Socrates demonstrated long ago, that the truly free individual is free only to the extent of his own self-mastery." That was a really influential idea on me, as a teenager who was really getting into music, but also just coming into my own as a person, that I'm only going to be free to the extent of my own self-mastery. If you and I want to be free to be the people that we're meant to be, we have to go through mastery. We have to go through discipline. We have to go through practice, spiritual practices, emotional practices, relational practices. Oh, man. If you started watching this video for a quick fix, I'm sorry to let you down. This episode is brought to you by me and my lesson business. If you are interested in music lessons in acoustic guitar, electric guitar, bass guitar, piano, or music production, and this can be either locally in the Ellsworth, Trenton, Maine area or online, if you are interested in lessons, there is a lesson-specific email in the description of this video. You can reach out to me or just leave a comment on the video saying that you're interested in lessons, and I'll reach out to you with more information. All right, now to this final piece of advice. So my final piece of advice that I find myself leaving students with all the time, and now leaving with you, is that we have to learn to find joy in learning the thing, not just chasing a potential future where someday I'll enjoy this because I'll be good at it. It's sort of the classic, you have to enjoy the journey, not just the destination advice. My parents often say that they happily paid for 8 years of guitar lessons because they never once asked me to practice. They would have to ask me to come out of my room finally for dinner or whatever, but I just enjoyed it from day one. I enjoyed the process, and part of that is having a great teacher. Shout out to Bill if you're watching. And part of that was just naturally loving it and loving the process. I never approached it like, someday this will be fun when I can play that John Mayer solo just like him, which I still can't do most of the time. Instead, it was like finding joy in, my basic chords sounding a little bit better this time when I practiced, and just building and building. And that's carried on through, learning other instruments and learning music production. I've just always loved the process. And some of that comes down to that I just found my thing that I love, which is probably the topic for another video. Yeah, one example of this is before I bought Pro Tools when I was 16, I downloaded the 1,000-page manual and just started reading the PDF and enjoyed it. It wasn't homework that anyone assigned me. I just enjoyed it. I didn't even own the software yet. I was just reading the manual. And again, I'll pick on my adult students. The younger students, as soon as they come in and hit one string by itself and it makes a sound, their face lights up. When adults come into lessons, they tend to have a goal about, I'd love to learn to play these songs around the campfire by this summer. And seemingly that's a nice, innocuous goal, but it's still a goal, and it's still a delayed gratification where I don't think they tend to have as much fun in the learning process. Again, that's just I'm not saying all my adult students are this way, but it's definitely a tendency. And I think it's just part of becoming an adult, something that we have to unlearn. I'm trying to do that today, staring down the camera. Again, this is something I'm coming back to a lot with this YouTube thing. Yes, looking toward the future, but learning to find joy here in the process. So just a few things to keep in mind. This Friday, my song comes out, and instead of a regular video, there will be a YouTube live stream. So watch out for both of those things. If you're interested in music lessons, online or in person here in Maine, reach out to the email in the description. And yeah, we'll see you Friday for the song release and the live stream. And make sure you subscribe. New videos every Tuesday, Friday. All right, I think that covers it. Peace out.